Hello guys, a very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Aakash Richhariya and I take care of critical reasoning and language section at Vidhigya CLAT tutorials Indore. And as we promised that we'll come up with a series of sessions on statement-based reasoning topics when it comes to critical reasoning. And here we are with our second session on statement-based reasoning. We also discuss paragraph-based reasoning questions in relation with the concepts that we discuss in statement-based reasoning questions. Here we are with the second session of the series, which is in regard with the conclusions specifically. All right. So we also received a lot of mails saying that we want another session on statement and conclusion. Statement and conclusion. So we decided to come up with this session again. All right. So when specifically I talk about these things, as I can take you to the things that we discussed in the last session, which were the topics that we should focus on when we try and focus about all the topics which are there in critical reasoning. So we came up with the list of this topic specifically: statement and assumptions, statement and conclusions, assertion and reason, analogy, and syllogisms. This was in the light of SLAT examination. So we are already done with statement and assumptions. Today we are here with the next session, which is on statement and conclusion. So let us just directly, without wasting much time, we should directly get to the agenda. All right. So when I talk about conclusions, the first question that we all should ask ourselves is, what is a conclusion and how it is different from the term assumptions. All right. So when we discussed assumptions, I already told you that assumption is the intention or the purpose behind someone's performing an action or releasing a statement. All right. So we have to take the author's perspective. But when it comes to the conclusion is more of a kind of a message that we draw for ourselves out of a given piece of text, or out of some observation that where we observe some action performed by a person. All right. So it is not the author's perspective, it is more like a reader's perspective, and we have to put ourselves into the shoes of reader, of someone who is observing some action. All right. And then we have to consider the aspect which can be considered as a message out of a given piece of text, or as you observe an event. All right. So conclusion is mainly, if we try to if we try to define it, conclusion is the message that we take for ourselves out of a given piece of text or an action. All right. This is the basic definition of conclusion and how it is different from assumption. Now, assumption is the author's perspective and conclusion is the reader's perspective. But you just remember one thing: these two terms have a lot in common. Because if I try to communicate things and if I release a statement in front of you, I am the author of that statement, and I release that statement with some intention and purpose behind that. All right. And I want you to take those things, the purpose and the intention behind my releasing the statement, as the message for yourself. Right. If this thing is something which I don't assume, then how come I'll be able to communicate with people? So conclusions and assumptions, when you talk about these two things have relevance. All right. So one, when you talk about conclusions, you have to be very well aware of the assumptions. Now, this is the basic defining part of it. If we talk about the criteria on which we check or on which we check the validity of the options that are given there, one, it is mostly positive. Again, there can be only two things where the things can where in the questions we can consider negative conclusions as well. One, when the statement is in itself is negative. All right. And the second one is when there is comparison in the statement. If I say this person is A and this person is B, if I say A is taller than B is, all right. So if I say A is taller than B, so I say B is, I am saying A is tall, this is for sure, and I'm also saying B is not so tall as B. So here B is not so tall as A. So here I've also considered this one being inferior to the other person, because I've compared both the objects, and I've used comparative degree of it. So whenever there is comparison, we can include negative as a negative conclusion, and when the statement in itself is negative, then also we can include something which is negative as a conclusion. All right. So first thing, it is mostly positive. So same rules apply that we discussed when we were discussing assumptions, statement and assumptions questions. So point number one, it is mostly positive. Most of the times we'll have to hunt for the statement which is positive, and we'll consider that as the conclusion. In certain cases, like the statement in itself is negative, or there's comparison shown in the statement, then we can consider the options which are negative as well. Second, there are two types of reasoning on the basis of the flow of thoughts. One is inductive and the other one is deductive. For example, if I say inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning is something that we have already discussed in the previous session, but let me just exemplify things so that you can relate with the already possessed knowledge. All right. So when we talk about deductive reasoning specifically, deductive reasoning is to crop things, all right, to deduce things. You have a general opinion, general statement, and you deduce things and you apply the same phenomena on on some specific character. On the it is the other way around, the inductive reasoning. You have an observation which is in relation with some specific example, right? Akash is a faculty at Vidhigya, and Akash takes care of the subjects in a way which is expected. All right. So if I say this, and then if I try to generalize this, and if I say all the faculties at Vidhigya takes care of the subjects, their respective subjects, in a way which is expected, it might be possible, it might not be possible. The statement ये तो यदि generally देखा जाए तो आकाश के लिए possible होगा या नहीं होगा, that is debatable, right? So if I have something which is known to all the known for all the characters who are teaching there at Vidhigya, so all those who are teaching at Vidhigya are good at CR. If Akash also teaches at Vidhigya, so Akash must be good at CR. So Akash teaches us, इसको ये other way around देखेंगे अपन कि Akash teaches critical reasoning at Vidhigya. So all the teachers at Vidhigya know how to teach CR. Now this is something जो कि गड़बड़ हो सकता है because मैंने उसको जनरल करने की कोशिश करी. Alright, so this is some example specific. If you form an opinion which is general on the basis of this specific examination, this specific example, this is what? This is generalization of the concept, which is inductive reasoning. Last one, we can never be the conclusion can never be sentimentally drawn. Again, we are not supposed to apply the knowledge that we possess. All right. So this is the basic criteria on which we select and we validate the answer options. Okay. So let us just directly move the questions, and we'll try to practice these concepts by trying our hands on these questions. So this is the first question that I want you guys to crack. I'll give you a minute's time. You just get it done, and then we'll discuss it. All right, guys. So here we are. The first statement, it reads, seal tenders are invited from competent contractors experienced in executing construction jobs. So seal tenders are invited. This is the premise. तो आपको premise पहले समझ लेना चाहिए कि what is being told to us और किस regard में बोला गया है, और वो मेरा एक area कौन सा है जिसको हम jurisdiction बोलते हैं, जैसे तुम लोग law के terms में बोलते हो. तो what is that area where I can take a call? Okay, so one thing, seal tenders are invited. From where it is invited? It is invited from competent contractors which are experienced in executing construction jobs. So experience is required there. All right. Conclusion number one. First one, it reads, tenders are invited only from experienced contractors. This is like saying, you must be aware of this fact that when we amended 370 or Jammu and Kashmir wala issue hua tha, there was an example जब governor said and the governor of Jammu and Kashmir asked Rahul Gandhi to come and see what is happening there, what was happening there in Jammu and Kashmir, and Rahul Gandhi did not go alone. He went with the team. All right. So उनको पकड़ के वहां से उन्होंने डिपोर्ट कर दिया. बाद में जब इस पे डिबेट हुआ तो the governor came up with one argument, and that argument was, I did not mention that you, together with your team members, should come and see what is happening here. My statement has mention of only Rahul Gandhi. So if I say Rahul Gandhi, come here and see what is happening here, it means what? Only Rahul Gandhi is supposed to come. Right? If you ask me, Aakash sir, please come here, so only Aakash sir is supposed to come to you. आप तुम बोलोगे आकाश सर come here और आकाश सर is there with his family, तब ये चीज गड़बड़ हो सकती है. You're getting my point or not? So tenders are invited only from experienced contractors. This will do here. So this conclusion is correct. Now second, it is difficult to find competent tenderers in construction job. Now this statement is a bit on a negative side. Why? Because when you release the notice and when you invite the tenders, how can you assume or how can you conclude that inviting tenders is or finding competent tenders in this field, in this construction job, is going to be a difficult task to do, right? Even if it is a difficult task, you can't do that. You will always consider the positive side or positive facet of the coin. All right. So for that purpose, first one seems to be the correct answer, and that is why if we have the codes, only conclusion one follows is going to be the correct answer for this statement. All right. Let us just target next question now. So the next question here is, a bird in hand is worth than two in the bush. A bird in hand is worth than two in the bush. The bush, you know, okay, the short plants. A bird in hand is worth than two in the bush. Whenever you get a proverb as the statement and conclusion based questions, it is really important for you to be aware of the meaning, the specific meaning of that statement actually. All right. When you say a bird in hand is worth than two in the bush, you must be aware of the meaning of this, because बहुत सारे implied ideas निकल सकते हैं, and the actual meaning and the applied meaning of this notion might be different from what it looks like. है ना? तो वो देख के कुछ और लग रहा है और कई बार वो बहुत अलग हो जाता है. So if I say a bird in hand is worth than two in the bush, actually I am saying कि if you have caught one bird, it is worthy of having. It is worthy of having it, right? When it is compared to another situation, which is where you are chasing two birds that are there in the bush. Okay, so what is he trying to say? What is worth? What is worthier? This one. All right. First, आपने एक bird पकड़ लिया. You must have it. You must keep it. All right. किससे उसने better बोला है? उसने better बोला है इससे from the birds, two birds sitting in the bush. Okay. Conclusion number one. We should be content with what we have. So don't you think, considering the bird in hand that you caught worthier than the other two, is in other way round saying this thing only, that we should be content with what we have? All right. So we should be satisfied with what we have got. All right. That is why he's saying it is worthy of having. Okay. So first one will do. Now, second, we should not crave for what is not. When you say we should not crave for what is not, it seems like this is not practicable at all. I don't have a law degree. What is the reason behind my chasing down this thing? And why should I keep it as a goal? कि मुझे लॉ करना है, मुझे I want to get into an NLU, I want to get in the top 3 NLU, I want to get to Bangalore, I want to get to Hyderabad, I want to get to Bhopal or any other law institute that you like, right? Why that so? You might end up by arguing that if I don't have anything to chase, how come I'll be progressive in life? How come I'll be surviving? And for what I'll be surviving, right? So this is something which you feel that is not practicable. Okay, but he is not asking you what is real, what is practicable, what is true according to what you have observed till now in your life. He's asking you, he is giving you he has given you one statement in asking, is this thing a conclusion of that statement that is given to you? And you have to work upon one thing, and that is where the third point gets into role, that the conclusion should never be sentimentally drawn. You are not supposed to work upon this thing, that whether this is practicable or not. So second one, we should not crave for what is not. Seems like हमें ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए, हमारे पास गोल होने चाहिए, but you should consider this option because it reads that a bird in hand is worth than wood two in the bush. So this one is the priority here. If this one is the priority here, we will say कि ये inferior है. All right, so we should not crave for what is not, is considerable at this point of time. So you understand that when I say it should not be sentimentally drawn, what do I actually tell you? All right, so this is what I tell you. Okay, so this was the second question. Let us just try one more question. Statement based reasoning. A stitch in time saves 9. A very beautiful statement again. Try to be cautious while you mark the answer, while marking the answer specifically. Right, guys, I hope you're done with this. So statement reads, a stitch in time saves 9. It talks about a stitch, and a stitch in time saves 9. It's a proverb, and we all are aware of this, right? We must be aware of this. Now, when you say stitch in time saves 9, and when we work on the conclusions, let us just directly work upon the conclusions as the answer options that are given here. Right. 1. 10 cannot be saved by a stitch in time. It seems like वो कुछ भी यहाँ पर उन्होंने लिख दिया है, and 10 cannot be saved by a stitch in time. If you say it like this, it is a clear elimination. It is a clear case of elimination, or directly you will directly go out there and you will eliminate this answer option. So this can never be the correct one, because nobody here talks about 10, and in the genuine way 9 was not used, all right, as a digit. Whenever you come across this kind of uses of 9, it always refers to a cat's life. Actually, this is a notion which is very well believed too. I mean, like, people have this belief that a cat lives 9 lives in one life. And you must have observed this in the logo of the battery company, cells company produces Eveready. If you have a look at the logo of that Eveready, there's a 9 and there's a black cat jumping out of that circle in the 9, right? So it is that. When we talk about 9, it refers to a very big period of, very long period of struggle, right? So here it was used in that manner, but you concluded something considering it a digit, so that is why first answer option is eliminated. Now second, prevention is better than cure. When you talk about prevention is better than cure, and when you talk about a stitch in time saves 9, so sir, in time, if you solve a problem, it will save that very long period of struggle. All right, so if you want to do that, you should stitch in time, and you should make that act of placing that stitch in time before it gets too late. ये आपके दिमाग में चल सकता है, और उसी बेसिस पर prevention is better than cure. This seems to be the correct answer, but it is actually a misleading option. ये एक misleading option है. Why we are considering it a misleading option? There's a reason behind it. Misleading option because it reads that the prevention is better than cure, but the statement in itself talks about stitch. And its stitch is not relevant that much with the prevention. It is in itself is a cure. All right. If a stitch in itself is a cure, how come you say that prevention is better than cure? Now, through this way, it goes against what is being said to you. So both the conclusions here are invalid in this question, right? If D, in most of the cases, D is given to you as neither one nor two, all right, and if that is the code, D can be the correct answer over, answer option over here, all right, in this question. Hana? To be specific, both will like neither of the options will play conclusion for the statement. This is going to be the answer. Now, I hope you have already understood that we have to think in a way जहाँ पर logical approach बहुत ज़्यादा लगना चाहिए. We don't have to consider the knowledge that we already possess, that we don't have to consider things that are practical, we then don't have to consider things which are easily observable, we don't have to consider things which we already know, which are written in any books. We have to consider things only and only those things which are given to us in these statements when it specifically comes to the statement based reasoning questions. All right, so this is it. Now the next question here again, cricket. All right, so let's get back to the question. Let's discuss it. What does the statement read? It reads, government has spoiled many top-ranking financial institutions by appointing bureaucrats as directors of these institutions. क्या हुआ है? Government has spoiled many top-ranking financial institutions. तो financial top-ranking जो top-ranking financial institutions हैं, government has spoiled these. How? By appointing bureaucrats as the directors of these institutions. So no one from the specific field of finance has taken up this role or has given up this or has given this role specifically of the directors of these institutions, and this thing eventually ended up in these particular financial institutions getting spoiled. All right, so this was the scenario which is given to us. Conclusion number one here. Now we know what is this. The statement reads that there is a problem. The government has spoiled these institutions, and the reason behind it is that is also given. But here, if you have a closer look at the option, it looks more like a course of action. Government should appoint directors of the financial institutes taking into consideration the expertise of a person in the area of finance. Now, when you read this, you get an idea that this is somewhere like a statement which acts as a course of action. So can we conclude a course of action out of a given text, out of a given statement? Yes, at times. But when? This is the question. Now let me tell you, let me clarify. When we consider these things, we consider the questions like this, statements like this as the correct conclusion when the statement has some problem in it. All right. And what's the problem in the statement? The statement has the one thing as an issue, and that is these financial institutions are spoiled. Okay, now they are spoiled. Why? Because the government has appointed bureaucrats as directors of these institutions. So यहाँ पर उसने क्या बोला? He has come up with the solution of this. This is how it can be solved. So in the conclusion, if a problem is given, the solution of that can be considered there as the conclusion. जब वो आपको course of action जैसा दिख रहा है तभी भी you can do that. All right. So the government should appoint directors of the financial institutes taking into consideration the expertise of person in the area of finance. ये correct है because this will resolve the problem. This will resolve the issue. So first one will do. Second, the director of the financial institute should have expertise commensurate with the financial work carried out by the institute. Now this is in line with the previously discussed statement. So this is the first one is some extended version of the next statement. If this one is considered correct by us, this one should also be the correct conclusion, because दोनों के दोनों एक ही क्रक्स पे बात कर रहे हैं, एक ही बेसिक आइडिया उनके अंदर, एक ही सिंपल आइडिया पे बात कर रहे हैं, that the person who should be appointed as the director of these institutions should have some expertise in the area of finance because the institution has to do all with the area of finance. तो उसका बेसिक जो कोर फील्ड है उसमें एक्सपर्टीज होना चाहिए. Alright, so I hope you understand this. If not, you can like please a comment. You can put the doubt in the comment and we'll get back to you. Now the next question. This is last when we talk about the statement based reasoning questions, and then we'll move towards the paragraph based questions. So we'll try and apply the same concept in the paragraph based questions. All right, guys. So I hope you're done. It reads, prime age school going children in urban India have now become avid as well as more regular viewers of television. Even in households without a TV. All right. So ho kya raha hai? The prime age school going children in urban areas have now become avid as well as more regular viewers of television. So this is an observation that is given there कि अभी रूरल एरियाज में ये अर्बन एरियाज में ये हुआ है स्पेसिफिकली कि वो लोग टीवीज ज्यादा देखने लगे हैं ना, टेलीविजन ज्यादा देखते हैं बच्चे आजकल. ओके, इवन इन हाउसहोल्ड्स विदाउट अ टीवी, जहां पर टीवी नहीं है वहां पर भी हो रहा है ये. एज अ रिजल्ट देयर हैज बीन एन अलार्मिंग डिक्लाइन इन द एक्सटेंट ऑफ रीडरशिप ऑफ न्यूज़पेपर. द प्रॉब्लम इज देयर इज an alarming decline in the extent of readership of newspapers. तो न्यूज़पेपर्स के रीडरशिप में प्रॉब्लम है, ठीक है ना, उसमें एक अलार्मिंग डिक्लाइन है. अलार्मिंग डिक्लाइन का मतलब इज देयर अ प्रॉब्लम? नो, अलार्मिंग डिक्लाइन मतलब ड्रास्टिकली वो चीज ज्यादा मार्जिन से कम आ रहा है. ऑलराइट, सो ये वो बोलने की कोशिश कर रहा है. नाउ स्पेसिफिकली इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द कंक्लूजन दैट इज गिवन एज द आंसर ऑप्शन हियर, लेट्स कंसीडर दिस एंड डिस्कस दिस. इट रीड्स, मेथड ऑफ इंक्रीजिंग द रीडरशिप ऑफ न्यूज़पेपर शुड बी devised. So in the first go you feel like it is the correct one, we should consider this one. But after having a closer look at this, you will end up by eliminating this answer option. Now you must argue, sir, in the last question we discussed that whenever there is a problem in the statement given, the solution of it can be considered as the correct conclusion, even if it seems like a course of action. Here the same scenario is like observable. No, if I say that there are two products, one product is A, the name of the first product is A, and the name of the other product is B Bombay. All right, so एक का हो गया A and the other product is B Bombay. When I say the sales of the product A has gone up, and this is the reason why the sales of product B is getting alarmingly downwards and getting alarmingly low. All right, अब ऐसा करके मैंने बोल दिया. All right, so when I say this, मैंने इनके बीच में रिलेशन बताया. Because of this went up, this is going down. Where's the problem? If I say A is going up and B is going down, you don't consider it as a problem. But if I replace these words with television and newspaper, you have the criteria set in your mind that okay, reading newspaper is preferred. That is why alarming decline in the extent of readership of newspaper is a problem in itself. Right, so when it comes to these questions, you have to keep in mind that you don't apply this thing. All right, and that is why you'll say that A is the incorrect answer option, because methods of increasing readership of newspaper should be devised is like saying methods of saving the sales of this product should be devised, product B, just because A has increased. राइट, सो ये जो आपका रिलेशन है यहाँ पर आप फेल होते हैं. सेकंड, अ टीम ऑफ एक्सपर्ट शुड बी सेंट टू अदर कंट्रीज टू स्टडी द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ टीवी ऑन द रीडरशिप ऑफ न्यूज़पेपर. नाउ वी शुड सेंड अ टीम ऑफ एक्सपर्ट to other countries. Whenever you talk about this, specifically the scenario is in the urban areas, and when you talk about this, the conclusion, again you talk about the solution, and again you eliminate this answer option as well. And the correct answer for this question again is what? Neither one and nor two. Right, so neither one nor two is going to be the correct answer over here as well. Okay, so this was in regard with the statements when it comes to statement and conclusion questions. Now I'll try and apply these concepts on the paragraphs. What can be the questions, and then how the questions can look like when we talk about the conclusion questions. A simple question stem, easily observable, what we can conclude. Another question stem, that is again easily observable, what we cannot conclude. The other questions, which question stems which will be observable again is, in order to conclude this one, what the author must have assumed. All right, so we have to keep the conclusion in the consideration. We have to identify the conclusion, and then we have to work on the assumption, because conclusion and assumptions have relevance. वो तो हम बात कर चुके हैं कि इनमें relevance होता है. All right, so that ways it should work. Okay, so when it comes to this question specifically, I want you guys to go through this stimulus and answer the question. Okay, once you answer that, let me know, and I'll start discussing it. Right, guys, done? So when we read the stimulus specifically, it reads, Bivix, an artificial sweetener used only in soft drinks, is carcinogenic for mice, but only when it is consumed in very large quantities. Now it reads कि जब भी तुम एक बिविक्स के बारे में बात कर रहे हो, तो मैं ये आर्टिफिशियल स्वीटनर इसमें यूज होता है. बिविक्स इज अ सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक, उसमें ये आर्टिफिशियल स्वीटनर यूज होता है. इट इज फाउंड टू बी कार्सिनोजेनिक फॉर माइस, but only when it is consumed in very large quantities. A lot of students right now, you must be thinking that people say that we should go through the question stem first, and then we should try and figure out कि question stem like stimulus में क्या दिया हुआ है. Yes, this is correct. When it comes to the paragraph based reasoning questions, you just go through the question stem first. But when according to the latest pattern, when the stimulus is followed by a set of 5-6 questions, यदि तुम उसको specifically पढ़ लोगे, तो your brain will get indulged in finding out the questions for all the answers for all the questions, right? And this will bog you down. This is going to be a very cumbersome thing for you guys to deal with. Right, so instead of doing that, you just identify things कि कितने keywords दिख रहे हैं तुम्हें. You observe that okay, conclusion is written, this is the stimulus. So when you try and work on the question stem specifically, there are limited types of question stems. यदि उसको arguments के बारे में कुछ पूछना है, तो he can talk about the weakening argument, he can talk about the strengthening argument, he would like you to undermine the argument made by the author in the paragraph. When it is about the conclusion, there are limited number of question stems that are possible. The format of the question, I'm talking about the stereotype by using which the question maker creates a question, right? That is what I'm talking about. So get aware of all those types, and then try to relate it with the stereotype that you already have in your brain. So it reads, in order for the conclusion that Bivix is safe for people to be properly drawn, so he has already given you the conclusion that this is the conclusion. Which one of the following must be true? Now this is not a question of a paragraph based reasoning question for you anymore. This is not a paragraph based reasoning question for you anymore. This is now a statement based reasoning question for you. So what you do is you just identify the keywords in the question stem. You try to identify which is the specific part about which this question is asking me something. All right, you directly identify that thing in the paragraph. You try to relate the information that is given in the stimulus, and then you answer the question accordingly. So I have this thing in mind, that conclusion that Viveks is safe for people to be properly drawn. Which one of the following must be true? And I have to hunt for this. Then if you start reading it, आप उसको कैसे पढ़ोगे? Viveks, an artificial sweetness used only in soft drinks, is carcinogenic for mice, but only when it is consumed in very large quantity. It is talking it is talking after taking an example of the mice. All right, तो ये mice के लिए बात कर रहा है, but again वो भी तब जब when it is consumed in a very large quantity. फिर आगे ये बोल रहे हैं to ingest an amount of Viveks equivalent to the amount fed to the mice in the relevant studies, a person would have to drink 25 cans of Viveks sweetened soft drink per day. So the amount equivalent to what was fed to the mice when it was found to be carcinogenic for mice, if we have to ingest the same amount in a human through Viveks, this artificial soft drink, he will have to drink 25 cans of Viveks sweetened soft drink per day. Per day उसको 25 cans पीनी पड़ेगी. And for that reason, Viveks is in fact safe for people. So this is the part where the conclusion in the stimulus is stated. है ना? Conclusion यहाँ पर दिया हुआ है. Now we'll directly go to the answer options and we'll try to eliminate the incorrect ones. The elimination can help you up to the extent where you will get the desired accuracy in the examination. Okay, the first one, cancer from carcinogenic substances develop more slowly in mice than it does in people. No relevant study is there in the paragraph, in the stimulus. It develops slowly in mice than it does in people. So no comparison in between how this thing develops in the mice or how this thing develops in human. This is given. If this is not given, we cannot take a call for this one. So this is invalid. B, if all food additives that are currently used in foods were tested, some would be found to be carcinogenic for mice. Now the stimulus talks about Viveks and talking about the other food additives. If they are checked, there might be some substances that will be carcinogenic for mice specifically. You might find out a number of substances in those additives as well. So it talks about not the Viveks but other food additives, which misses the scope, and that is why we cannot conclude that. See, people drink fewer than 25 cans of Viveks sweetened soda per day. This is for sure is going to be the correct answer. In the single go, you can judge that it is going to be the correct answer. Why? Because for that reason, Viveks is in fact safe for the people is given here, directly mentioned. And the reason coded here was a person would have to drink 25 cans of Viveks sweetened soft drink per day. So it can directly be concluded that nobody drinks more than 25 cans of Viveks sweetened soft drink per day. That is why we are saying that it is in fact safe for people. Okay, you're getting my point. So C seems good, and C, I'll give it a soft call because I'm not done with the elimination of the last option, and it reads, people can obtain important health benefits by controlling their weight through the use of artificial sweetened soft drinks. This is again something which is irrelevant. You observe things written like this in the answer option and you tag it as an invalid option. Okay, so I hope you understood this one as well. All right, so when it comes to the conclusion and apply the concept on the paragraph based reasoning questions, you just keep in mind that whatever you used to do with the statement based reasoning, there's no different requirement of the question. All right, the requirement is same. You just have to adapt and opt for a strategy that will make you feel at ease with going through the paragraph. It means again the reading skills, right? So if your reading skills are good, if you are an avid reader, if you are a voracious reader specifically, you will find it easier to crack these questions, no doubt. Now again, you will find that again the things are going around the reading speed and the reading skills. Now this is what is supposed to be there. The consortium has cleared the air and like he is, they have come up with the notification. They have said that it is going to be a comprehension based question paper. It is going to be a comprehension based question paper, and if it is going to be a comprehension based question paper, a lot of reading is expected from the aspirants, all right, in this regard. So it is required from you guys. Nobody can help it, and this is not the problem. When you know the problem, that's not the problem. The problem is when you don't know what problem is. All right, so specifically if you know this is the problem, you just go out there and try to crack it, try to solve it, try to resolve it. The real problem lies in the situation where you actually are unable to find out what the problem is. Okay, so work upon this one now. Okay, so when we talk about this statement is specific, this question specifically, it reads that the commercial news media emphasize exceptional events such as airplane crashes at the expense of those such as automobile accidents, which occur far more frequently and represent a far greater risk to the public. Yet, the public tends to interpret the degree of emphasis the news media gave to these occurrences as indicating the degree of risk they represent. All right, so this is the stimulus. Now, when you go through this, the problem is when you say that the commercial news media emphasizes exceptional events such as airplane crashes at the expense of those such as automobile accidents, ये बोलने की कोशिश ये कर रहा है, talks about commercial news media, and commercial news media emphasizing some events which are airplane crashes and at the cost of what, automobile accidents. तो वो automobile accidents के जो incidents है उनको नहीं बोल रहे हैं, और वो airplane crashes के जो incidents है उनके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, अब उसने आगे फर्दर इन्फॉर्मेशन ये दिया हुआ है कि विच ऑकर फार मोर फ्रिक्वेंटली एंड रिप्रेजेंट अ ग्रेटर रिस्क टू द पब्लिक. स्पेसिफिकली इट टॉक्स अबाउट द ऑटोमोबाइल एक्सीडेंट्स एंड the frequency of automobile accidents and the risk that they pose to the public is being more it's being greater than the risk caused by the airplane crashes to the public specifically. Okay, तो ये चीजें ज्यादा रिस्क क्रिएट कर रही हैं. ठीक है, आगे उन्होंने ये बोला कि yet the public tends to interpret the degree of emphasis of the news media give to these occurrences as indicating the degree of risk they represent. एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम ये हो जाती है कि अब जो द पीपल है ना who go through the news, वो पीस ऑफ न्यूज जब वो देखते हैं तो वो क्या, व्हाट डू दे अंडरस्टैंड, दे अंडरस्टैंड एंड दे comprehend the scenario in a way, they interpret it in a way that the portrayed picture is what has the relevance with the actual picture. मतलब एक्चुअली एरोप्लेन क्रैशेस जो हैं वो ज्यादा रिस्की हैं, वो ये समझने लग जाते हैं, which is not at all true according to the scenario, because what automobiles accidents जो हैं ये ज्यादा frequency से होते हैं. All right, so if the statement above are true, which one of the following conclusion is most strongly supported by them? So some conclusions are being given to you here and you have to hunt for the conclusion which is most supported by the premises of the stimulus. Okay, now first one, print media such as newspaper and magazines are a better source of information than a broadcast media. This is not the conclusion that is supported by this stimulus, and why I'm considering that. Why can I say that? All right. So this is the point of discussion now, and let me tell you. When I say print media such as newspaper and magazines are a better source of information than a broadcast media, they're specifically talking about commercial news and putting emphasization on these things. And the interpretation of the public, how the public interpret this. There is no comparison in between the commercial news media and the means which are undertaken by this particular field. It might be the scenario that the newspaper magazines, to consider that, you should say that print media such as newspaper and magazines are not somewhere which belongs to, are not something which belongs to this category specifically. फिर तुम बोल रहे हो आप better sources of information than a broadcast media, specifically वो commercial news media के बारे में बात कर रहा था, and because of this you can eliminate one answer option A. Answer option B here, it reads, the emphasis given in the commercial news media to major catastrophes is dictated by the public's taste for the extraordinary. अब इसने बोला है कि जो emphasis है जो commercial news media देता है major catastrophes को, and that is dictated, it means that is governed, that is run, and that is dominated by the public's taste of extraordinary. It means because of the public willing to come across these pieces of news, ये particularly वो न्यूज बता रहे हैं. ऑलराइट, सो अगेन ये पब्लिक के प्रोस्पेक्टिव के बारे में बात नहीं कर रहा था. ऊपर स्टिमुलस टॉक्स अबाउट हाउ पीपल इंटरप्रेट दैट. सो अगेन दिस इज गोइंग टू बी आउट ऑफ scope. So B will also get eliminated. C, events over which people feel they have no control are generally perceived as more dangerous than those which people feel they can avert or avoid. Now this particular statement is too general to be considered correct. We were talking about plane crashes, we were talking about automobile accidents, we are talking about life, you're talking about something which is also looking like a general notion, like events over which people feel that they have no control are generally perceived as more dangerous, and that is why we perceive air crashes as more dangerous. As you're sitting in a bus, you're not driving the bus. As you're sitting in the plane, you're not flying the plane. All right, so on the basis of that as well, this can be ignored. All right, C answer option वहां से भी चला जाता है. D, where commercial news media constitute the dominant source of information, public perception of risk does not reflect actual risk. Because this seems good, and this is the correct answer option for this question. In fact, the correct answer for this question is D, Delhi. And why is it so? Because the people, when they come across these the news, specifically from the commercial news media, and the emphasization these entities put on such events like airplane crashes and all these things. Okay, यहाँ पर ये एक्चुअल इवेंट्स जो हैं, ये जैसे आपने बोला कि एरोप्लेन क्रैश का जो इवेंट है स्पेसिफिकली, इस इवेंट ने एक्चुअल रिस्क को बताया नहीं, बिकॉज देयर आर अदर थिंग्स जो ज्यादा रिस्की हैं फॉर पीपल. ये आप समझते हैं. ओके, अब जब परसेप्शन होगा पीपल का, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट हाउ पीपल परसीव इट, सो पीपल गेट एन आइडिया अबाउट दीज थिंग्स बीइंग मोर डेंजरस एंड मोर रिस्की फॉर पीपल, ना, फॉर देमसेल्व्स. Why? Because this picture is being portrayed to by these commercial news media. All right, so that is why we can say that where commercial news media constitute the dominant source, वही एक dominant source है information का, public perception of risk does not reflect the actual risk, because the actual thing is not being told to them. All right, so this is how you should apply the concepts of conclusion on the paragraphs. A lot more practice is required. Practice on the paragraphs is also required when they are expected to ask a set of questions, not only one question on one stimulus. All right, so we'll plan certain sessions on that as well, and we are always, like always, we are open for suggestion. So if you want to suggest, and if you want to like request for any session, specific session, you can just send us email at help@vidhigya.in. आप उस पे email कर सकते हैं हमें. Alright. There's also a Telegram channel. You can also follow us on Telegram. Alright. If not that, this is the phone number that you can call us at. Okay, so this is it for today, and let's call it a day. In the next session, we'll be discussing a lot more concepts, different format of questions. All right, so see you in the next class. Happy learning.